I'm going to go ahead and go live.
Okay.
Yeah, do that.
All right, welcome in everybody. American Leeds podcast. This is the Wednesday night midstream with Jeer, Jeer Lynch,
Hello.
Leeds United, The View, Michael Maynard. Good to have you back, Michael.
Yes, thank you. The
All
boy
good?
The boy's got a broken arm, but he's all right.
Good.
Appointment with the fracture clinic tomorrow, actually, to see how things are going.
I know it's tough sometimes with those little bones in the wrists and the feet.
Yeah.
You know, those can be longer recovery times.
Yeah, it's the ulna just above the wrist, so like it's kind of an awkward spot. Like it's like millimeters above the wrist joint, basically where it broke. So yeah, he's got to have his whole wrist and hand immobilized and everything. It's kind of annoying for him, and it's a dominant hand too. So, but
it's
what it
that
is.
can be tough. Yeah, well, and then maybe some skill to be ambidextrous of some sort.
Yes, yeah, that's it.
How young is the lad?
He's 13. You met him.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was really cruel tonight, and I made spaghetti for dinner, and he got to eat it left-handed.
He'll be twirling like a pro with his left.
Yeah.
You're like, no, we're not.
Why does the spaghetti keep going up the handle?
I was going to say, what a dad. You didn't think about, but we're not eating foods that we have to stab for a month. You're going to have to make do.
Yep.
Love it.
That's it. Well, we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff tonight. Obviously, we'll talk about the Tottenham game. Maybe we'll talk about the break, the window, what's going on in the I always want to say hot stove, Michael. That's not the right word. That's the baseball term.
Yeah, they use it for hockey too, the hot stove.
It is not the hot stove. It is the mill, the rumor mill.
Oh, the rumor mill.
Yeah.
Where do you make the rumor bread?
That's it.
I love that. I love the dry humor. Maybe we'll talk a little Jesse Marsh. An interview came out this week about kind of it was an American interview, an American soccer podcast about his openness to take the U.S. job. Might talk a little also. That was supposed to be announced today or yesterday. It was not announced, right? Was not, unless I totally missed something.
What was that?
Which was
and yeah, I want to kick things off. I don't know if you guys saw the tweet I sent out about the badges. I don't know if they were.
Oh yeah,
it was like legitimate time frames. I got it from another account, but what badge would you boys bring back if you could bring a badge, or if you wanted to tweak this badge, which I think it's a fine badge. But I do think it needs to be updated at some point. What do you boys think? If you could bring back a classic.
I'm a classic LUFC man.
Yeah.
I'm a classic for that. I saw somebody did a mock-up on reply to your tweet with a mock-up of the current Leeds shirt with the LUFC as the badge instead, and it just looked beautiful.
Yeah.
So that's my preference.
Yeah, I actually that's my preference too. I like this the written script of the letters LUFC that we had back in the 70s. I know a lot of people have fond memories of things like the smiley and the sideways smiley, and no, I just like the script. The very, very simple.
The OG there. That's the Howard Wilkinson badge.
The Howard Wilkinson. Here are my only, I guess. I don't have problems with the current badge.
Yeah, there you go. 65 to 73. Just the script. That's It's not a badge so much, but I don't know. Do we need one? I don't know.
It's an identity.
Yeah, the font and there was some good football with that badge, right?
Oh, definitely.
Real good football. Probably the best.
Definitely.
Best era.
Although
love the smiley. Oh, okay. All right. Sure goes.
I always associate the smiley with Division Two football. I never associate the smiley
Okay.
with great times. At least I know it was the kind of the first real badge after the LUFC, but that was the Don Reevy team on the turn. And then you had
That's right.
the Division 2 years, and the smiley badge was there. We had this kit at one stage. One of my friends had it growing up, and he wasn't even a Leeds fan. But it was a centre badge, which always looks great. It was a terrible start. And then it had Burton biscuits for the sponsor, and everything about it just screamed broken cheap, you know. So I've always associated that badge with that jersey and that time. So
it was my birthday recently, and my wife, as a present, got me a book, like a coffee table book of every Leeds kit and badge through the era. It was amazing. So great. Yeah, I keep going back.
I think
keep
I have
going back
that,
to that 1960 65 to 73 stuff. Like that's it for me.
You know, I just noticed that the 75 to 76 U is a different direction.
Yeah.
I've only just noticed that.
Yeah.
They
did some weird design things in the 70s, man.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was weird.
I do like these letters. These letters are classic. I don't mind the smiley. Maybe I have a couple of throwback smiley things, and I don't know. It's good. I don't know. I like the simplicity of the design. The peacock is kind of rogue here, 81 to 84.
Yeah.
And then you can see how they incorporated the white rose into the current badge, into the kind of the current badge model. I think so. My mother-in-law is a screen printer, and she sometimes will try to get me some or screen print the LUFC badge. And she's like, it's just so hard because the intricacies of the rose and the soccer ball when it's that small.
Yeah, font over it as well.
Yeah,
it's so hard to get. So I do think it needs to be tweaked. I think if they could simplify the rose or the soccer ball to be one or the other be more present, and then the thickness around the I guess it would be the crest or the badge, maybe make that a little bit more thinner. I just think it needs to be tweaked. Obviously, I was a young fan during the debacle that was the salute with the decapitated head.
Well, well, to be honest, it may be appropriate though, because I mean, lately Leeds has been giving me heartburn, so Gaviscon back works, and
can't believe that
run around like headless chickens, so that also works well. I think it's bring it back.
I can't believe that got through proofing though, Michael. I can't believe anybody there, because I mean that had to go through everyone in the office, and they must have all gone, yeah, looks great. Yeah, the fans won't have a problem with this.
They even came out and said they had a
focus group.
They focus grouped it. Yes. Yeah. And it's like,
who been Huddersfield fans sneaking in? That's what must have been. There's no way they were real Leeds fans.
Oh, the fact that the director of PR, he's escaping my name right now. He's on the board.
Angus.
The fact that Angus survived that. A lot of times,
chief executive,
the chief executive gets canned, or someone at the executive level gets canned for that kind of blunder. And when he survived that, I knew that I don't know if I think maybe Rads was just becoming maybe partial owner at that point. So obviously Rads and Kinnear.
I think Rads had just taken over fully. I think it was
I think he had taken over.
The comment was that the Shield was synonymous with failure at Leeds, so therefore a new badge, a new identity for a new era was the idea. But horrible idea. I was laughing at a comment that Dale put in the chat there. That's fantastic. He said the smiley face badge would match nicely with the stick men on Jesse's tactic sheet. That's a fantastic comment. But Angus has form here, because Angus is responsible for the current Arsenal badge, and he's responsible for the current West Ham badge. When he was director at both those previous clubs, he changed the Arsenal badge from the kind of overly complicated shield that had the cannon and lots of stuff and Arsenal's name on it. He was the one that came up with the new design with everything stripped out bar the cannon. And then ironically, he went to West Ham and did the exact same thing and stripped everything off the badge bar the hammers and the word West Ham. That was it. So he has he has form with messing around with badges, but he hasn't had a second crack at the Leeds one. They swore they were going to do it the following year. They said, we're going to do it next year. We'll talk to fans. And they've never touched it since.
No.
They never probably will now.
Yeah, I don't think that ownership group will touch it. I do think it needs to be touched up, kind of like how Norwich just modernized their badge. I think there's been other ones where they just
Aston Villa,
Aston Villa
just on it or in the middle of it now.
Yeah, they've just gone back to their original badge, but they've changed the lion from facing left to facing right because that's the direction of the future. So he's now walking towards the future instead of looking to the past, which is a very clever idea. It's a lovely badge. It's circular as well. They always say teams with circular badges win more as well. It's a rumor, apparently.
I actually like circular badges.
Yeah.
More than a shield, yeah.
What does your brother think of it?
Loves it.
Fan.
Yeah, he voted in favor of it. Yeah, he likes it. He liked the other one as well. He thought the two choices they were given were both were both good. But yeah, he likes the circular one as well. But I think that's probably the badge that he grew up with Aston Villa having. Same way I would have a fondness for the white rose at Leeds, because that's the badge that we had when I was growing up as a Leeds fan.
All right. Well, we'll get stuck into the actual football. Gier suggested before we did this, maybe do a little bit of screenshots, show and tell, and I wanted to do it as well because it's always interesting to see what happened. And in retrospect, my match reaction was right after the game, and I was harsh, more so because I had just that feeling of having the points in your hand and getting out of there, and then kind of letting one go and trying to also divorce yourself from this current situation and look at where we're at and be obviously grateful for the Liverpool win and the comeback with Bournemouth, but also trying to unpack what happened in this game. So let me pull that up. Yeah. First of all, what are your overall thoughts of the game before I kind of get this show and tell? And I'm going to share the Leeds goals as well as the concessions, the conceding goals.
I know you've got some technical coaching stuff to go over, I think, with some of this, like just in terms of positioning and stuff. I had some ideas that you wanted to talk about. There was just maybe I'll just give my quick
go for it. Go first,
because you're gonna give more detail than
go ahead.
In this. The elation of winning something late is mirrored by the absolute just horrible sinking feeling of losing something the way that we did, that kind of late game collapse where we concede two, that wasn't like last minute, but it was the dying times of the game. And it felt so much like, I guess, some of those really bad games near the end of Bielsa's tenure where, the defense just collapsed and there's just mental lapses, errors, stuff going on with the defenders that really shouldn't be happening. I do sympathize with them a little bit, I think, because our defense has been under pressure a lot all season. I think that is a system issue, but not all of the things that we get to are related to that. Like all the things against us, rather, the goals that we concede are related to that. I know, like I said, Jared's going to go into a lot more detail about that. But it's clear to me that I think there's a couple of things that need to happen. One, we need better defenders. Two, we need Jesse has to address something in the system to make it work better, because there's only so long you can go being constantly under pressure, being constantly having to defend backwards against attacks, against transitional moments, before someone is going to start making mental errors and mental lapses. It's going to happen. It exhausts you. It terrifies you. You start to question your ability. You lose focus. You lose, I guess you lose some confidence when things start to go against you that way. So we've got to do something with the system that protects the players a little bit more. But at the same time, I think some of the players, we really do need to start looking at moving them on. That was my impression of the collapse. Really, in terms of what we did well, some really excellent finishing on all of the goals, really. Rodrigo, instinctive finish for the second one. That was excellent. The third one was just cracking finish. Beautiful. And again, Somerville, to have both of them score 4 games in a row is really nothing I don't think any of us would have ever expected, either of them individually, never mind both of them on the score sheet 4 games in a row. So, great job to them. They're pulling their weight. Rodrigo is, at least in terms of goals. I know there's still question marks over his other contributions, but really glad to see them scoring, and really they're the reason that we have almost any points on the board at this point in the season, rescuing matches for us. So obviously we didn't get any points in the last one, which is a big disappointment, but the fact that we had a fighting chance was really down to their goal scoring. So those are my initial thoughts, but Jer,
I don't disagree with anything. I know we kind of had different conversations over the weekend at different points and different perspectives on it. I'll be very honest, I didn't see the game live. I was at a wedding in the blackest of black spots in Ireland, where there was no phone signal and no Wi-Fi in the place we were staying in for 3 days. So I managed to follow reception at one point to watch, to try and get the Twitter updates on the score. And I walked away when we were 3-2 up, because it was only 10 minutes ago. We brought on a centre half. So I thought, we're shoring up the defence. This looks like it's in control. And then I saw the results. So I kind of didn't have an initial emotional reaction outside of rolling my eyes and go, we did it again.
Yeah.
So I watched the game on Monday morning before I did my review. I watched the game twice. And I didn't have any emotional reaction to it then. I kind of looked at it from a perspective. I looked at the first half and thought we were lucky to be in the game at the end of the first half, because I think Spurs had 70% possession of the first half. And what I will say positively in the first half is our defensive shape in the first half looked to be reasonably well organized outside of our left-hand side or Spurs' right-hand side, where Kulcheski and that was getting all the joy. And I watched the first half really, really carefully, and I started focusing in on Harry Kane. And the more I watched Harry, because Harry Kane doesn't play like a normal number 9, he nearly plays like a false 9 or a second 10. He drops really super deep. And if you look at this, I haven't got this image, but just where you are right now, if you see where Cooper is, Cooper and Kane will drop another 10 yards at different points in the game, and Cooper went with him. And from what I watched, all I could see was Liam Cooper man marking Harry Kane. And wherever Harry Kane was, Cooper was. And what that meant was there was this huge gap in the middle of the defense that Struijk would step across into to cover and just leave our left-hand side, Spurs' right-hand side, completely open. And that's why those big diags were kind of working so much. And I couldn't figure out, is it a tactic? Is it a system that he's playing today? I know we started with a 4-2-3-1, then went to 4-3-3. But I thought maybe it's a system thing. But the more I watched, I thought no one else is man marking. It's only Cooper that's doing it. So at that point, I thought to myself, you don't man mark with one player. That just creates gaps. I mean, it's easy to. Kane's an intelligent footballer. He would just go, well, if I'm being man marked, I'll just run it wide, or I'll go deep and I'll bring you with me and somebody else. You sacrifice yourself. Second half, it wasn't happening as much. But I thought in the second half of the game, especially in the first 25 minutes of the second half, I thought we were in control of the game. I thought Spurs looked out on their feet and dead after we got the third goal. I thought we were controlling the game pretty well. Our goals are all preventable.
No smashing today.
They're all preventable. They're absolutely all preventable. Let's get stuck in. Let's see what we got. This is Marsh ball right here. This is the first goal. We're playing out from the back, and this is Meslier pings the ball beautifully to Rasmus. Rasmus plays the ball into Willie. Really beautiful header there on the touch line. Great touch by Willie bringing it down. And right here, I'm starting to go, this is good football. Yeah. We bring it into Aronson. Of course, Aronson's so good on the turn. He allows that ball to run in little spaces.
Shields it. Let's run across his body.
Of course, he hits the turf. But right here, when you go back here, it's like there's so much space here.
Yeah.
If you can see this and
see the big gap.
Away goes Somerville.
That pass from Aronson is not an easy pass, because he hits it with the outside of his foot and he tries to bend it around the back of the defender, not just into the space, but in front of Somerville's run, so he's less work to do. It's an incredibly clever pass.
Yeah, and it's a great touch in because he shields it away from Dyer. Dyer is, somebody said on a stream, Dyer is Dyer.
Yeah, he is.
There's a point here where he gets the ball. I didn't screenshot it, but he's flat-footed. He's on his heels. And Somerville is quick. We talk about players being quick and fast. We always say kind of Dan James is quick, but there's quickness with the ball, and Somerville is quick with the ball, and he's
Fast feet.
just not wasteful for it. Yeah.
Little light touches.
Mo Salah, you always talked about how Jurgen Klopp always said, and this is so early in his career, I'm not comparing the two, but Jurgen Klopp always said Mo Salah was the quickest person in the world with the ball. And Somerville is quick with the ball, not just off the ball. And so that's good to see. And so, boom, it's 1-0 here. I think
Great finish.
Great
finish. Okay, that's better. I'm not gonna digress. I'm not gonna go over this goal a lot. I'm just gonna show that. I mean,
you're going to show that image in 10 years' time, and everyone's going to know what that is. They're going to look at that and go, "Yeah, that was Spurs." Look at Melier. How is that not a free kick?
I'm not going to rehash old wounds and show the finish and all that. We just know it shouldn't be a goal, and so we should be up 1-0. That was a spell of the game where they got multiple corners. We kind of kept heading in and out. It was 2 or 3 chances.
Yeah.
And then that chance fell to them, and it was unfortunate. It should have been called a foul. It should not be a goal.
They knew what they were doing there too. Like they were looking at the ball kind of, but they knew what they were doing. And yeah,
it's disappointing, especially when it was compared. I mean, all over Twitter it was compared to Bamford's goal, who's got disallowed against Arsenal, and it's just, it's something we have to deal with as a non-top 6 side. It's part of life.
There's some interesting questions about it though, Alex, because this year when VAR came in, not VAR came on this year, the new changes to VAR for this year, there was supposed to be an ability to get the audio of what was said from incidents 24 hours after the game. Now, I haven't seen one of these this season. I haven't been able to find any of them. They're not available to us anyway. I don't know if they're available to the managers, but they're not available to the media because initially it said that VAR checked it. Then the other comment was that it wasn't. Dermot Gallagher said it wasn't checked by VAR, that the referee would have told VAR, "I've seen that, so therefore it's not a clear and obvious error," and VAR don't get involved. So there's kind of a mixed thing on this of, did VAR check it and say no goal, or did the referee say no, don't need you to check it? And if that's the case, that's the second time this season where VAR hasn't checked something that would have either prevented a goal against Leeds or given a penalty or a goal to Leeds. Brentford being the other game where they never checked it either. So
it should just be automatically checked.
It's a goal. It should be automatically checked.
Yeah.
Straight away, it's a goal. Straight away, check it. And that's a blatant in every match. That's a free kick.
Yeah. By the way, if Dermot Gallagher is going against what the referees did, then I think you've probably a pretty good case, because he usually finds even like the smallest sliver of excuse to make for the referees when he
was convinced Bamford fouled for the goal against Arsenal. He said it was a foul. He said he leaned in. So there you go.
Yeah.
Before you start this, Alex,
go ahead.
Just keep an eye on Rodrigo's starting position here.
Yeah, him and Willie. I was impressed by them staying kind of on the line here. So this is a sequence from a set piece. The ball gets headed out here by one of these gentlemen. I can't remember. And Cooper kind of comes out and follows this thing the whole way. Great header by Cooper to put it back into the cement mixer, as they say. Rasmus is going to get on the end of this, and now we're in. Here's the line. And
look at Rodrigo's body shape there.
Yeah, he's already queuing up for it. Yeah.
Great awareness, and again, really Marsh ball here. I feel like second balls, putting the balls in the air, kind of creating that, I guess, controlled chaos.
That is quintessential Marsh ball. Absolutely
direct. Both these goals were direct. It was not a lot of triangle pushing around the back, swing it back around, it's just boom, goal.
Yep.
So that's what he brings.
Bit of chaos and be the first player to the ball.
Be ready for it.
Yeah. Yeah, which is why I'm hanging on the line like that and just waiting for it to come back in was exactly the right thing to do under the system.
And all he does, for when that ball is cleared, if you watch the goal live and you just don't watch the ball, just watch Rodrigo.
Yeah,
he's about a yard offside and he's looking across the line where the Spurs and and he just kind of trots forward real quickly just to get back in line, and then he's offside again for like when Cooper heads the ball and he's like a half a yard and he jumps again forward, but he is constantly just treading the line of that back four, waiting for that little arc running behind. It's excellent from a striker. It's brilliant number 9 work.
And so it's 2-0, and which really should be 2-0. Where am I at? I don't think I timestamped this one. Oh, is this the goal, or is this
third?
This is the
equalizer.
third.
This was
the
Spurs
equalizer.
third. Yeah.
So it's off of a throw-in. Royal just
Went to sleep completely.
Yeah, whereas Pascal didn't have the best game. I believe this is Pascal. Maybe not. Anyways, he throws it into an area, and this is like, you kind of saw a lot of this, like just kind of putting it down, the ball down deep. And I believe this is Kulishevsky, who had an incredible game. Really good at letting the ball run to almost this back line here. At multiple times where you kind of would like think that they would take it in. He took it almost to that back line. Anyways, lets the ball run and then does Cooper. He just does Cooper, and now it's crap.
Look at the edge of the box. See Rocket and Adams' shape right there. 2 central defensive midfielders not picking up anybody. Rock is too far away from the player he should be marking, and Cooper's attempt at a tackle there is pathetic. He ends up on his knees after barely grazing the ball with Kulishevsky. He goes past him way too easily. Yeah. But the next step after that goal,
now everybody's concerned, and this happened twice. Everybody's going, man with the ball, man with the ball. I think everybody's just going, what's going to happen here? We're forgetting about where we're marking.
Free man in the middle, free man at the penalty spot, free man at the back post.
It does go into him, and we're not able to intercept it.
Alex, can you just go back one step?
I think it might get headed out or blocked.
It's cleared by Christensen originally. The shot there is taken by Kane, but in that shot there, if you go back 2 pictures, and you'll see where the issue comes from the back line's perspective. There's a midfield issue this step. Go back 1 more, maybe even 2 more. Sorry. Because if you watch the back line, one more back. Sorry, number 11.
I don't think I don't have any more.
Now, if you look at that, right, where Cooper, sorry, go forward.
From the throw-in?
Gotcha. Yeah, that's perfect. Look at the 2 center halves where they are now. If they stay like that, we should be okay. If they hold the line, and even when Kulishevsky gets it, if they drop with the ball, they're okay. But what happens here is Cooper has to fix Stroke's mistake. Stroke's gone to sleep completely at the throw-in. Cooper then has to run across to get across to Kulishevsky, which you see in the next frame.
Yeah. Oops. And this
then
happened.
What happens is...
Sorry.
Wrong way.
The other way. There you go. Yeah, Cooper's across now. So now Cox had to come across to his man. Christensen's come across to Cox's man. And now you've got a free player on the far side. That's the first error by Cooper coming out. And then the second error is if you look at the 3 midfielders there across the midfield line.
Because we're marking these guys. Okay, like right now, it's not diabolical. It's not
no danger here. There's still no danger in this position. Cooper's 1-on-1 with Kulishevsky. If he stands up, delays him, sends him wide, stays on his feet, just keeps that little gap, he's fine. If Cox stays close to Kane, he's fine. Same with the back post with Christians. They stay where they are with their man, we're fine. Cooper dives in.
Cooper goes into it. He falls down.
Yeah, he just he goes to step in to win the ball instead of just delaying him. Panic. And then now you've got a problem. Cox has continued to drop while Kane hasn't. So now Cox ball watching. He's not watching his man anymore. And then when the ball gets played in, you see Kane get a shot. And then it's blocked by Christensen, cleared off the line.
Yeah,
and then here's your... And there's your problem now. Look where Mark Rocket is. And look where Tyler Adams is. Tyler Adams is beside Kane, and Mark Rock is marking nobody in the box. That's their player, and he's in about 20 yards of space there, I'd say.
Yeah.
There's 2 sets of backline.
He didn't have to take that. I mean, he could have taken it. He could have dribbled it, opened something else up. I don't know. Yeah. Unmarked in and around the penalty area. Yeah. So they're celebrating 2-2. Okay. But the resolve, it's 2-2 here. It's a little pixelated, but this is just basic football. They're just breaking our lines. Okay, obviously we've got the man out here that's unmarked, but they just play it in. I think again, this is Kulishevsky that comes in. They just break this line. It's almost a goal. There he is.
I want to point something out for everybody on that screen as well, because there's a lot of discussion, just not about this in particular, but just in general about what do we mean when we say Leeds play narrow under Jesse Marsh?
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean they're narrow? They're out there on the wing. They're on the touchline on the side. How is that narrow? Well, this is how it's narrow. Draw a line right down the center of the pitch. Divide the pitch in two. Everybody is on one side of that line. Nobody is on the other side. When we say that we play narrow, we don't mean that we never go out to the wing. Here. What we mean is everybody is squished together in one half of the pitch or the other or in the middle third. So it's how they're squished together and how much space is between them is what we mean by narrow.
Yeah, and
that's how they divide the pitch.
The other side to that as well. Sorry, Alex. The other issue with that as well is we would have called this when I was coaching teams. We would have said this is half in the pitch. This is making yourself compact, and this is a compact defensive line. There's no issue with this. Except one thing is missing from this being correct. The winger should be coming back to cover that space. And we don't have a winger in that space because Marsh doesn't ask his wingers to come back. He asks them to stay high. And that's the problem. There would be nothing wrong with this. Most managers would say, if he decides to do a big switch across the pitch while the ball's in flight, you have enough time to shift across. Yep. No problem. Except we don't have the winger covering that space, which means Stroke is constantly having to keep an eye. And then they decide to not switch the play. They decide to thread it instead. And then that breaks that problem. You got a massive problem on your hands.
I think Jesse knows this. I just think he thinks that he's gambling that his players can recover. That's what he wants eventually to happen, that this back line can recover from that type of switch ball.
That's throwing the net.
He knows he's gambling. They know he's gambling, but this ball goes through, and I think
Alex, he's not gambling. He's not gambling. Yeah. He's assuming most people will switch that ball, and we're okay with that. But they don't switch it, and that's the problem. And then there's no backup plan if it's not switched. If they manage to break our line, we're in trouble.
That's it. If they play through that press, we're toast.
Done.
And that's the issue.
Yeah, and this is a basic. I don't know. This looks like basic football. I mean, it's just a through ball into a player breaking our line, and we're just I don't know, we're not ready for it. I don't know how else to explain it.
Yeah.
And he comes in and the angles are decent. Meslier's, makes himself tall. And he tries to go near post here and it goes into the side netting. So we're still at 2-2. This is Rodrigo's goal to make it 3-2. This is actually Cooper comes up to turn the ball over here. They go down. There's like some sort of kind of passing sequence in here where we're trying to. They fall down. The ball comes in. The ball's kind of like weakened or something. Cooper comes in to poach it. Goes into Rocca. Rocca now plays a beautiful ball. I believe this is Rocca. Plays a beautiful ball. I'm thinking it's going to be Somerville, but it's all the way over to Rodrigo. Rodrigo had a similar chance last week, and he decided to cut this ball back onto another
cut in and blaze it over into Rosette. Yeah.
Right, and the defense recovered, and it's going to be like, he's going to try to play for top corner. But here he just takes a chance. He takes his chance on the far post. He could have gone near post, but he went far post, and of course it goes in, and you get the Rodrigo celebration.
Wonderful finish.
You're going, come on. At this point, I'm going, we're at least going to tie this game. Maybe we can win it. And
Alex, if you go back to slide 22 or frame 22, you'll see the issue that I was pointing out about the back four. Right, one more back. Sorry, one more. We'll never get a job on Sky Sports. I'm sorry. This is there. So it's great that Liam Cooper wins that ball where he is. Yeah, but that's where Liam Cooper was being dragged to for most of the game. And if you look right on the far right-hand side of the frame, look at the gap between Stroke and Robin Koch. And that was where we were getting taken. And so in the first half, what Koch was doing was he was stepping across to fill that gap, which was leaving the space out wide. That's the man marking thing. Now, it's great in this scenario, and it leads to a goal, but it also causes other problems.
Spurs also claimed that was a foul with their player on the
contact.
ball.
Yeah, he just did that.
Yeah, it was. I don't think it was, but they claimed that it was, and they've said that, well, fine, if Kane's goal was a foul, well, so was yours, so it shouldn't count either. But I don't think that's true.
There's no contact. They looked at it again from a couple of angles, and actually Tyler Adams just kind of steps out and he dives, kind of tucks his body underneath him, and man goes through him, and he's like,
"Yeah,
there's no contact." It's a great finish again.
Good
finish
finish.
Was brilliant.
It
was a great finish.
Yeah. It was a good finish, and Rodrigo, I don't know, he does great, and I'm thinking results.
He loves scoring. He's so happy when he scores.
Love a celebration.
He is happy. Yeah, I saw a sequence of him on Twitter where it was just a mashup. He loves to score. I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah, he's like an 8-year-old when he scores. It's great.
Yeah,
I like it.
He's a
I
kid.
like it.
Yeah, it's a big kid.
A lot of guys when they score, like, they do some sort of thing that makes them look cool, or like they're all attitudinal about it. He's just pure joy. Love it.
Yeah. Tottenham's got their tails up here a little bit in the 80th minute. Our man Ailing is on to see the game out, and I believe this is a switch ball over here. Now they're just putting it in. They're putting crosses in. They're trying to get it equalized. So they put it. They put it into the box. It's actually headed out, and same problem as in the second goal. Unmarked person in the box.
Yep. Little known tidbit from a defender's point of view. You're always told to head the ball back where it came from, not out into play.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I was a defender also, and yes, yeah.
Put it back where it came from. And look where Tyler Adams is again, and look where Brendan Aronson is. So Brendan Aronson is, with Aidan coming on, Brendan Aronson is filling in the Mark Rocker role. He's dropped into midfield, the centre, and between Adams on the right hand side, and Aronson on the left hand side, both of them are ball watching again, and don't react to the player that's supposed to be marking.
Now, so what someone brought up in one of the streams I did, that it could be, or the comments on YouTube, that it could be the way we press high up the pitch is completely different than the defense that we need to provide when it's in our third. And is it just the wiring of the players to think that we can get the ball off of players, that we need to be, you know what I'm saying? It's a different kind of marking system when the ball is in the final third. I feel like it needs to be different than it is when it's high up the pitch. I don't know if that makes any sense. And so, like, when we're trying to compress the ball down here, it just doesn't make sense to do that. We need to be more either marking men or marking areas. And it seems like we're trying to hunt packs down. We're hunting packs down here, where I don't think it's more risky to hunt packs when you're down in your own goal. So I don't know if it just needs to be the awareness of where we are in the pitch or something. I don't know.
I've heard a lot of things this week about the tactics and the system and the players, which is which, and there are tactical errors. We pointed out a few of the glaringly gaps that we have in our system in terms of, if you're going to play that narrow, you've got to have cover out wide, and we don't do that, so that's a problem. If you're playing to force a certain scenario and that scenario doesn't happen and it's played through. I said this on one of my streams. I did a live stream during the week for the first time in ages, and I said it during it. The difference between quality players and lesser players is lesser players make more mistakes. Quality players make less mistakes. And if you look at that ball that was threaded through for their second goal, better defenders cut that out. Better defenders drop. Better defenders don't ball watch. They hold their shape. They're disciplined in their shape. We're not. So for me, there's a defender problem. And again, if you look at this goal, look where the players who are supposed to be marking are. They're not where the player that's supposed to be marking is. That's not a system error. In no tactic would anybody put your number 6 or your defensive midfielder where Tyler Adams is in this moment, and your midfield number 8 where Brendan Aronson is in this scenario. That would not happen in a tactical breakdown. They would be side by side, tucked in, narrow, to block the goal. And that's not done here. So for me, I don't think this is a tactics thing. I don't think it's a system thing. I think it's players switching off in key moments. I think Tyler Adams was tired. We know Brendan Aronson was tired from about the 70th minute because his passing started getting a bit sloppy. He started losing the ball on his touch, and you could see he was tired. I think that caused the problem as well. I had no issue with Luke Ayling coming on. I thought that's the right decision to make. 10 minutes to go, bring on an extra defender. Let's just manage the game for once and doesn't go charging. But when the players do this kind of thing, it kind of undermines what you're trying to do.
The only difficulty I have with the Ayling thing, with Ayling coming on, is that what you just said, which is our midfielders were getting tired. I mean, we were holding the ball pretty well in midfield. We were able to get it up the field. Keep it there.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if you bringing on a defender to try to see it out is often a good idea. But when your midfield is exhausted, then you're just inviting pressure by bringing on a defender. And that was the one issue. And maybe you say that was a bit of hindsight. At the time, I thought, okay, good, another defender, that's fine. But when you look at it, and to be fair, none of us are paid the big bucks to notice these things necessarily in real time. We're paying the big bucks to be able to just cheer our team on and enjoy it. But sort of on a watch back, exactly what you just said, Jared, which is, it was clear that our midfielders were exhausted. Maybe that's the point where you have to replace one of them as well to shore that up, rather than just stick another defender on and invite pressure. And that's something, again, maybe it's hindsight, but I think, we've seen that happen before as well. It's not the first time that's happened.
No. I think Nanto going off at halftime with an injury forced Jesse into a change that upset his rhythm and what he was planning to do. Because Sam Greenwood is the midfield change. Nanto goes off with what looks like a dead leg or something. They got halfway through the first half. Sam Greenwood comes on out wide in the 4-3-3.
Yeah.
And then when the midfield do get tired, it's a case of, we'll just go to a back three or a back five, and we'll hang on the midfield. Yeah. When what should have happened was you bring Gelhardt on, you put Rodrigo on the right, and you put Greenwood into midfield, and you take off, say, Adams or Aronson.
Change the shape.
Change the shape. Yeah, you can. Yeah. I mean, just Rodrigo can play as a tight wide player. He's done it before. He will do that job. Gelhardt can go into the 9. You can still drop in. And then you end up with Sam Greenwood in that midfield position where you would normally bring him on into that midfield role. He gets to do it anyway.
Yeah. I want to comment a little bit on what you're saying as well about better defenders just are more consistent, right? They are better and they don't switch off as much. They don't make as many mistakes. And you got to wonder, and I don't want to say this in any way or give any impression that I'm digging out Pascal Struck, because he's been incredible, probably one of the players of the season for me. Certainly in the top 3, and asked to do a job that really isn't his and not naturally his, and not a job that he's been trained to do his whole life. With his size and everything, he's clearly a center back, not a fullback. But you got to wonder whether a specialist fullback does switch off. For that goal of theirs that came from the throw in, does a specialist center back switch off there, or specialist fullback rather switch off there? Or are they more attuned to that? What's about to happen? And I think they probably are, and that's not digging him out.
Nope.
Again, he's there doing a very, very good job in a job that really isn't his. But you're going to have more mistakes again when you don't have the correct players playing their correct roles, when you're asking them to do things that maybe don't come naturally to them or haven't been their jobs their entire lives until this season.
Which is huge, because that's a serious level. Like, you've never played left back in your career, and now you're playing left back in the Premier League. Like, that's talk about learning on the go. There's also another thing with that as well.
Things are going to happen. Yeah,
absolutely. The other thing with that as well, and I completely agree with everything you said. If you look at that throw-in, I think pretty much the entire team goes to sleep. I think everyone is caught on the hop, and we conceded a goal from it.
And it's a throw-in that goes in. It goes into an area. It just goes into. It's go get it.
Exactly what happened at Fulham.
Ball. Yeah.
At Fulham.
We went to sleep for throwing in our own third against Fulham as well, and we conceded a goal from it.
Yeah, that's right.
No, I haven't looked back on all of our games, but I wonder if there's a trend there of, in the last 15 minutes of a game, the team's just getting tired and switching off when the game goes dead, and they're trying to look for a breather instead of dropping back in and getting your positions first, because that's 2 games where we've conceded goals from throw-ins in our own half, which shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Sorry, Alex.
Oh, you're good. If you're liking what you're seeing, go ahead. Tap the like.
Tickle the like button.
Tickle the like button.
Tickle it.
Helps kick the stream on, and drop a comment and let us know how we're doing and what you think of the content, and et cetera, et cetera.
Tickle the like
this
button.
Is what you get.
Give the share button a gentle caress.
A gentle caress. Yes. Take the time. Take the time to do it. I must admit that I don't always hit the like on all the videos that I consume, but for such a small channel, you can have a big impact. I feel like it's a telethon that I'm doing now. But anyways, all right.
You
This is
control your algorithm, etc.
Yes, that's right. Exactly. This is the final goal. And this is a ball they just played out. They played out from the back. We're not pressing really right now. We're trying to see the game out. So Eric Dyer has a little bit run of the pitch here.
Exhausted and shell shocked at conceding that last one like a minute and a half before or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, so
This is where there's no control in the midfield.
It's 80 minutes and 18 seconds when they score that. They celebrate, and then, I don't know, something happens for kickoff, and now they're playing out of the back. So we're at 2.5 minutes or so. Okay, so Dyer has the run of the pitch. He plays it into, I believe this is the wing back or the fullback.
It's fullback.
And so look, I mean, come on. Here's our line.
Come here. Look at that line. There's nothing wrong here. That is a good defensive line.
Okay, all right. I don't know. You're seeing
everybody's covered.
Pascal. This is Pascal. This is Cooper. I believe this is Cox.
Yep.
Okay.
Everybody in a dangerous position is covered. You always got somebody wide over there, but
not as narrow.
And Alien and Rasmus back here. Okay. And here we go. Ball into
Kane.
I don't know who Kane.
The Kane's feet.
Look, Pascal had a bad game. Look at Pascal. He's flat-footed here a little bit, facing the wrong
way. He's worrying about Doherty on his left. That's weird. That's Cooper.
Yeah.
I have a lovely photograph of this from a different angle, Alex. That is, when you're finished, I'll show you. But there's a fantastic one angle, which shows you exactly what went wrong. It's one little move.
Yeah.
From Pascal or from
Cooper?
Cooper.
Okay. Cooper here. Cooper's here.
Yeah. He's losing his man right there. So
he's
losing his man.
Yeah, he's done.
Is Pascal going, is this man gone? He's probably said that's
right.
Yeah.
Oh, so now no. Cook's worrying about two guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's in no man's land.
Mm-hmm.
And Cock is running back. Everybody can see it. It's here it comes. And it's just
also, look at Tyler Adams again in the middle of the park. Look where Tyler Adams is in comparison to where the man he's marking is. He's not goal side. So when that ball gets played through, Tyler Adams is already a yard behind the man he's marking.
Yeah.
And he scores.
It's so simple. That's my problem with it. You go from here. Whoops.
It's the most frustrating one to give up too, not just because it was the one that put us behind. When
just putting a ball in.
We just got cut apart.
Put a ball in behind our line.
Yeah,
and then
that's it. They just slice right through us.
Kulishevsky lets this run again. I feel like he could pick this ball up and kind of go in, but he lets this run all the way down here. He does Cooper much like he did.
He just cocked like Cooper, yeah.
Cock does cock just like Cooper. Waits till the last possible moment. He gets him to commit. Goes by him. Now again, we're in the same scenario. Meslier is going, oh crap. There's nobody. He's unmarked now. Look at Ailing screaming. Everybody's undone here.
Ailing's trying to get across the cover ball in case it's pinged across the goal, but it's not. It's just.
Ailing's facing the goal.
Yeah, he's wrong side now. He's expecting the ball to go across the box, not to get cut back. He's expecting somebody else to be covering that position, and they're not. And then he just gets his legs messed up.
That's right.
Alex, can I rob the screen for 2 seconds?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to let you if you can't. You go ahead. I
think I can. Sorry if I'm being pushy. Sorry.
It's all right.
Speaking of pushy, that's what people should be doing with the like button.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes. There we go. So I don't have your fancy software, but I have PowerPoint and coloring in pencils. So this is what I've come up with. This is the first ball into Kane's feet, and what I want to show you here is right here, you've got Tyler Adams and Bentancur who scores. He scores the goal. Man. Yeah. Cock is in a decent position here. Kane's facing away from the goal. Centre half wise, doing my job. He's not facing the goal. And Cooper is in the right position right now. He is face on to Kulishevsky. He can see across to Doherty. And Stroke is keeping an eye across to that gap. Right now, there is no danger here. None.
We're
This
good.
is decent shape. Looks good. One pass. Now you talk about 10 yards later. There's Cooper and there's Adams. Adams has now lost Bentancur completely, right? You're talking 5 yards of a gap there straight away. Cooper is now no longer even looking at Kulishevsky. He is now watching the ball. He has lost the man and won't have the legs to get back.
Yep.
Next frame, there's Cooper, there's Adams, there's Bentancur. Okay. Now Luke Ayling isn't looking at Bentancur because Luke Ayling isn't marking Bentancur. Luke Ayling is supposed to be the extra centre back marking nobody, just there to cover the space. So Cooper's worrying about this ball getting played across here. That's the area that that Ayling is worried about.
Yeah.
Melier is exactly the same. They're covering across ball. When the ball does go across, I didn't do that script that shot, but that's the problem. Right there, you've got Robin Koch out here. We know he misses it and he gets pulled back and he taps it in. But right here and right here are your problems. And I would go back to the very first one, this one here. Liam Cooper getting caught on the turn is a problem because that gets them in behind. And then you see it again. Like, look how far away from this man. He's now, 15 yards away from the player he was marking?
Yeah.
In the space of 5 seconds. Like, he's left him for dead. And Tyler Adams, I know he was getting tired of this game, but right now, he tracks that man. When that ball gets played back, he just cuts it out and the goal doesn't happen. This is what I mean when I say the goal is preventable. And this is what I mean when I say it's player and individual errors and not system errors. He does his job, that goal doesn't happen. He does his job, that goal doesn't happen. And Robin Koch over here, he does his job and that goal doesn't happen. All three of them failed to do their job.
Even if one had done their job, the goal doesn't happen. Yeah.
I mean, you could go back a step further and you could argue that Somerville shouldn't be pressing the centre half, that Somerville should be covering the fullback. You could argue that, especially when we were gone 5-4-1. That's an out-and-out winger and wing back. So there's an argument there to say Somerville should be covering the fullback and encouraging the centre half to go along with the ball. But that's going way back. But that's the problem with Leeds. It's when it breaks down in one area and then it goes back to our defenders. These defenders aren't good enough to do this job. They're not. Liam Cooper proved for one of the other goals, getting beaten way too softly, getting pulled out of position on a consistency. That's also a thing. The third kit, we haven't won a game in that third kit, and neither have junior 21s either. So it's a jinx kit. But this is, look. From the, I mean, if someone showed you that picture and went, what happened next? You'd say, it's probably cleared.
Yeah.
You don't expect it to end up here. Sorry. Where am I? Here.
That's right.
So, anyway,
just absolutely cut apart. And everyone ball watching.
Everyone's ball. That was a trend throughout the entire game.
Yeah.
And the amount of times people have got, and it's not just that game. Chelsea, we got away with it a couple of times against Chelsea. Liverpool, we got caught with it. When someone goes to the end line, we seem to just keep dropping the entire way into our 6-yard area, and we leave the penalty spot to the 18-yard line completely free. There's an accountability piece here. I mean, if this, from an attacking perspective, the players seem to have finally realized what Jesse's looking for them to do, because we're scoring goals consistently and we're scoring lots of goals. Now, I think we're in the top 10 in the Premier League on goals scored. So that is working. Defensively, when Jesse says, I don't think the players understand what I'm expecting from them, you look at this and you go, it's basic stuff. It's man marking, not switching off, holding your positions, being difficult to beat. And our back four currently are far too easy to get in behind. We don't cut out crosses. We don't clear balls. And that's the issue. There are games, Liverpool, we got away with a lot. They missed a lot of chances. And the first half, there was also a chance when Emerson Royale, Emerson's first name, Royale, anyway, the fullback.
Royale, yeah.
Similar one, Kulchevsky to the end line, pulls the ball back, and he puts it over the crossbar unmarked, an open goal. So it could have been another one as well. So there's a similar pattern.
Same thing happened with, was it Billings' goal against Bournemouth? Like when we played in Bournemouth, it was the exact same thing. Knocked it back to the edge of the area. No one's there because we've all just sort of receded back and left it open.
And like we're not pros at this, and we're not claiming to be pros. Right? I'm using PowerPoint to show you, a positional thing, which tells you the level of knowledge. But they have analysts and video experts, and they have video sessions all week, every week. These goals should be being highlighted as there's an issue here with pullbacks. But yeah, we keep getting caught on them week after week after week. So we're not learning, and I hope that's just a temporary thing. But I said during the week, we need an entirely new defense. I think Christensen was okay in this game. They did it reasonably well. We need an experienced left back, and I think we need a top level centre back that can either play a Robin Koch, or you bring in 2 centre backs and replace him as well. But I think in 2022, having Liam Cooper playing as being a starter in every single game, or hoping that he's a starter because you've got Llorente as your backup, is a big issue at this point.
You just don't feel like there's a partnership there, do you?
No.
You know, like when 2 center backs, I guess maybe the way that Cooper had one in the championship with I'm sorry, I'm terrible. The gentleman that went to Arsenal.
Oh, Ben White.
Ben White, and then he also had one with the Swede.
Pontus Janssen.
Pontus.
Yeah. Arguably the best centre half pairing we had was Kyle Bartley and Pontus.
Yeah, it was Bartley and Janssen for sure.
Yeah, he was a big boy. So I don't know. You just don't feel like there's a partnership between Koch and Cooper, and obviously Llorente. The fact that he doesn't even come in to see the game out, the extra center back, we bring in Ailing, is really told how poor, how untrusted he is at the moment. So
Llorente is
you think there'd be?
I mean, he shouldn't be anywhere near Premier League football.
He's fine in a 3. When he's not there in a 2, when he's got an extra cover player, when he's not the sweeper or he's not the main defender, he's fine. You put him in a 2, and as you said, he's a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
You think there would be a partnership with Strauch and Koch?
I think that would be fine. I think that would be a very serviceable mid-table team partnership.
Do you think so? Personnel-wise, let's say hopefully the 49ers take over. Maybe there's money there, but there won't be. I don't think there'll be unlimited blank check money.
No.
I talked about maybe recalling Cresswell. Is that a possibility, do you think? Or is that too much to ask of him?
I think it's a lot of pressure.
And I guess the real problem, as we've said for months, for 6, 7, 8 months now, is the left back, a true blue left back. So we can stop having Pascal out there, who's done a job, who's put in shifts. But get a left back, and then you have more center back depth. Really probably is the best solution.
And we know that Ailing also does a decent job at center back now, and I think that's maybe a better position for him than right back if he's losing a step. And he wasn't at fault. I mean, he did his job there, but everyone else around him collapsed. So that's not. It's pretty harsh. You bring on Ailing, and all of a sudden you're conceding goals and losing a game, but it really had nothing to do with him.
No,
it was everyone else around him. So I mean, I think he's okay as a backup center back, and we've seen him play right-sided or left-sided. I mean, ideally right-sided, but we've seen him play left-sided center back. He does okay there. It's always a little bit awkward when you're off foot as a center back, but he's right-footed, so generally speaking, he'll be on the right side. But he does okay there generally. But Llorente needs to go for me. Cooper needs to probably also, which pains me to say because I really like Liam Cooper. He's been a fantastic servant to the club and everything, but I just think he's no longer able to keep up to the required standard for a defender in this league. And Pascal needs to not be forced to play left back anymore, the poor guy, because again, while he's done a great job there, and I feel like he's really picked up some of the other things that a fullback needs to do. Like he's much better at going forward now than he was even at the start of this season. But it's still not his forte, and why would it be? He doesn't have the right body for it. It's he's big. Most fullbacks are not big, built the way that he is.
Sprinters.
Right, exactly. It's not to say Luke Ayling is a tall guy as well. He's like 6'1" or something, but
he's slender though. He's not
slender, right?
Wide.
Pascal is a big dude.
Unit.
He's not built that way. So very few are. I'm trying to think of who can play as a fullback that's built that way. Josko Guardiola, maybe. He's built that way. He can play center back well, though.
Yeah, he can.
But he's exceptional. We're talking about world-class, exceptional talent. Not, Pascal's fantastic, but not, he's not that. So, I would really, really like to see him return to where he belongs in center back. I think him and Koch would provide a good enough center back pairing for what we need to achieve this season. We do need to look at building that back line up as we move forward. First order of business for me, absolutely, unquestionably. As I said in preseason, as I said before the window closed last time around, and I know you guys agreed with me. I think a lot of people didn't. Left back.
Yep, 100%.
100% priority.
You said
100%.
left back was more of a priority than striker, and you said if they do the left back and the striker, I feel that they'll be comfortable mid-table. If they don't, I think we'll be around 15th, and we're 15th.
We're bang on 15th.
That is what I said. Yeah,
Mystic Michael.
Yeah.
And looking over our shoulder, which we are.
Well,
and by the way, if you look at the table now and look at the table after 16 games last season, we're in the same position, but we're closer to the bottom on points. Mind we have a game in hand, but it's a game in hand against Scum. So
no, it's Forest.
Is it Forest? Oh, it's Forest. That's
Forest,
right.
Yeah.
It's Forest. That's right.
And because the Scum game was called off as well, but all of the games were called off.
All the games were called off. That's correct. Sorry, you're right. It's Forest.
But everyone is in the same boat. I've seen tons of people saying that our game in hands against Scum, so we can write that off. And we're like, well, I think Scum are very beatable. By the way,
I don't think we can write it off. But I'm saying it'd be a tough match. No, you're right. It's Forest. That's right. Yes,
right. We got Forest. So I mean, you look at it from perspective. You have to beat the teams below you or in around you. So that's a big game.
So if we can get points there, then we're I think.
Ninth.
We're
level 9th.
But how many points would we be from the bottom 3 at that point?
You would be 5.
Yeah, 5, which is about where we were after 17 games last season, I think.
Yeah, and the other thing as well, though, that's not been picked up on is if you put the fixtures that we've played so far this season against the same fixtures, those same teams, those same fixtures, we're actually 3 points better off in that group of fixtures than we were this time last year. So there is some progress there. The league table is incredibly tight between 7th and the bottom. The third from bottom are super, super tight.
It is, and Alex, I don't want to take over hosting duties here, but that almost brings me to thinking about some of those bottom teams, and in particular Bournemouth, and I think you know why.
Before we get to that,
I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I don't even want to get there, but let's we'll touch it.
I just want to say, Alex, on Cresswell, I think our long-term centre-half partnership is Cresswell on one side, Stroke on the other side. I think that's the long-term goal, and I think that's an exciting prospect to think about when they're right. I think if you try and rush Cresswell, it's a correct call to say we've got defensive issues. Bring back the defender who's doing well at Millwall. He's got 2 clean sheets recently under his belt. He's got 3 goals this season. He's a unit. It makes sense to say we'll bring Cresswell back in. I think if you put 2 young players in there, even if you put one of the young players in there, they will still make mistakes because they're young and they are going to make mistakes. Yeah. I think if we want to be an established centre, kind of mid-table side that's not worrying about, as Michael said, looking over our shoulder all the time, being comfortable up there. I think we need a experienced centre back who has credentials in this division or a division similar to this who can do that job. Because I think you use your, the games where you're rotating players, you bring a Cresswell in for one of those games, or you bring a Stroke into one of those games, or you rotate them, or you bring them on for the last 15, or you bring them on as the additional defender to change the system. You've got options then with that as well, putting experience with youth. But if we want to get stable in the middle of the table, we need experience at the back, and we need to have defenders that won't switch off at vital moments in games. And right now we have defenders who are switching off, experienced defenders. I come across as if I just want to get rid of Liam Cooper, and I'm really harsh on Liam Cooper. And the reality is, I think what he does off the pitch and what he's done for Leeds up until this point has been tremendous. I think he's a fantastic leader. But we have to put sentimentality to one side when you're looking at your league table and say, well, it's not good enough anymore, and he's not at that level anymore. And when January comes around, I think you're looking at selling your Rente, maybe keep Cooper till the end of the season. Ailing's out of contract at the end of the year, and you're looking at a rebuild then from a backline perspective, and it's needed. I think it's needed because I think from an attacking perspective, I think when the guys made the comments about Red Bull under Jesse being one of the highest scoring team in Austrian Bundesliga history, we're getting that with Leeds now. We can see that. You can see there's goals there. But they had a better class of defender for the level that they were at that time in that division. We don't have that.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with you, and I've made that comment before too, Jared. Just in terms of comparing us to the O'Leary days, which I know everyone's always like, we always have to compare one Leeds team to another. Whatever, maybe that's a bit of a cliche to do, but it does remind me of that. And I'm just saying, like, you know, with the O'Leary side, we had a good spine, we had a good back line, solid back line of really talented defenders, and at the front, we just had guys who ball out. We didn't have a ton of strategy going on up front. There wasn't like, it was just sort of 4-3-3 and go for it. Like just, and it worked. You know, it was entertaining. It was exciting. We didn't win anything at the end of the day, but you know, there was all sorts of other stuff going on there. I think that impacted that off-field stuff. You know, the court cases, everything else was going on. And maybe a little bit of a victim of our own success as well. Like grew too fast and weren't quite ready for it in terms of maturity, but. Yeah, right now we definitely have the firepower, I think. Of course, I think getting another number 9 is going to be important. I don't know if Rodrigo's going to keep scoring the way that he has been, just based on his history of, you know, his goal scoring history isn't.
He picks up injuries as well. He does miss games.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do need a center forward, but the back line for me has got to be the first thing we look at.
Look at Newcastle. Look at Newcastle last year. They're bottom 3. When the Saudi takeover happened, they didn't go off and buy world-class players. They didn't go off and splash crazy money. They rebuilt their defense. They brought in Dan Bunn and they brought Byrne and they brought in Kieran Trippier as a solid left back and a solid centre half. You look at Newcastle this season, they have the best defensive record in the Premier League this year, and they're in the top 3 in the Premier League. And that's just from changing the back. I mean, their big money signing Isaac has been out injured for most of the season, so they're going to go. Look where they are.
And Bruno Guimaraes as well. They brought in, and
defensive. I think we have to.
Who's got attacking flair, but is also very good defensive midfielder as well, right? So he's got.
And I think we're good in that area if we can do what they did to the back 4.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, but they're ahead of schedule.
They didn't go out and buy all kinds of flashy players. What they did is they shored everything up.
Shut the back door completely.
They shored it up. They made it solid. They gave themselves a good base to build from, and it worked, obviously.
Yeah, I think they're going to be. They are ahead of schedule. And a year ago, they were in the relegation spots. They were a team we were like making fun of. So, anyways, obviously, money helps. Please do. There's 16 of you. Go ahead and if you're new to the channel, if you haven't subscribed, like, comment. Helps us kick on in the algorithm, as they say. All right, so let's put a bow on kind of the transfer window. What do you think we get a striker and a left back, one or the other? And I guess I'll also say, do you think the 49ers take the club over? What do you think? What do you think happens? You've obviously seen Liverpool put their club up for sale. Looks like they're going to be bought by, I believe, an Indian investment group. What are your thoughts?
That always ends well, doesn't it? Look at Blackburn. That worked out well for them, didn't they? The Indian billionaires that came in to buy over the chicken company. Sorry, Michael, you go first.
Yeah, I think we need to get a left back first, as I've said. I bet we buy a striker if we buy anyone at all. And it may be, I don't know, maybe a 1 in 1 out kind of thing. I mean, it looks like obviously there's some interest in Cody Drame. Is he headed for the exit? Possibly. I'm not sure what to think about that because I just honestly don't know what I think about Cody Drame at this point. He looks like he should be good enough, but then it doesn't seem like maybe he is. We always hear about some attitude type issues going on. The fact that he's doesn't seem to get along well with a lot of people. Heard potentially that he's not a great influence on a few of the other younger guys as well. I don't know if that's true. I don't want to slander anybody. Just things that I've heard without any evidence whatsoever. Let me just make that very clear. Just things that I've been hearing. So, but you wonder if there's sort of this bad stuff swirling around, whether that's a distraction, whether that's causing issues, whether it's true or not. If this is the stuff that's circling the fan base, will it start to trickle back to the team that way as well? Will it trickle back to him? Does it cause problems? So I don't know if he's going to be sticking around or not. We know that he had that bit of a bust up with Bielsa previously as well when he went out on loan. I thought it was fair enough. I kind of thought that policy was odd. I think young guys, if they want to go out on loan, they should. Maybe we should be sending them out on loan more often to get experience, and I like what we've done with Cresswell to send him out to get experience. And who knows what the future is for Shackleton, but I think that's a good policy. But yeah, he might be going out. Transfers in, like I said, I think they're probably going to be looking at a striker. All the rumors that we're hearing are about strikers. We've heard a little bit about left backs, but mostly about strikers.
Yeah,
there's a couple.
Funny enough, Kai Wagner hasn't been mentioned yet at all. Rafael Guerrero has been mentioned, and Parisi from Empoli has been mentioned a couple of times.
Right? Yeah. Parisi.
Yeah. I agree, Michael. I think even when we are in the league versus last year, I'm trying to be positive. I'm trying so hard to be positive, and Leeds make it very hard for you to be positive all the time. I would like to think we get a left back and a striker. I would like to think that the point has been made. I think if we keep a clean sheet against Spurs and score 4 goals, I think we don't buy anybody in January, because I think the board do exactly what they did last year. I think maybe losing the Spurs might do us a favour to show that we probably still need something at the back in terms of left back at least. If they went down and got Rafael Guerrero and one of the strikers were being linked with, I think it's a bold statement. Which leads me to think that it's not a statement that Radrizzani is going to be making. I think it's going to be an equity swap. I think it's going to be a case of, and what I read today and what I kind of said this morning on the news was that if Leeds go down, you knock 100 million off the value of the club straight away. So if Leeds get relegated, the 49ers will still buy the club, but they'll buy it for 100 million less. And if you think already, remember Radrizzani deal is a European. He lives in Milan. He deals in euro. He's selling Leeds in pound, which is struggling right now. So the pound versus the dollar is less. The pound versus the euro is less. It's in a really bad place. So right now, even just on his market value, he's losing money versus the euro and dollar, because 400 million, transferred into sterling from dollars, they're gonna save money on that deal currently. And if you knock 100 million off that price, then all of a sudden it's a bargain for kind of the 49ers, and there's no real pressure to do it immediately. They can just kind of hang on to people and rebuild slowly. I think they won't want us to go down. I think they'll want to have their first year in charge of Leeds as a Premier League club to do all the marketing stuff that they're trying to do. 49ers apparently are trying to market Leeds and the San Francisco 49ers together as a joint entity, because it's something that has never been done, where two different kind of entities under one umbrella have both had the same sponsorship deal. So that's something that they're trying to do from a mega kind of sponsorship deal perspective, and they won't be able to do that during the championship. So I think what you might see in January is Radrizzani kind of roll over a little bit and say, I can't finance this transfer window. We need to bring in players, or else we're both going to lose money here. And I think you'll see an equity swap. I think you'll see them doing what you're going to do with the Kettle. I think they'll give Leeds maybe 60, 70 million and go, there's 60, 70 million that's coming off the price of the club. There might be some other deals done there, but I would like to think we go and do both. And I would also like to think we'll get a centre back as well, but I think we might actually sign another midfielder rather than a centre back, because Adam Forshaw is for sale and we don't have a covering defensive midfielder.
Interesting. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting now, I guess 6 weeks or so. There's people it looks like they're stepping away from the club, a lot of the players and the coaches. Obviously heard Jesse was going to go to Peru, I believe, and go to a wedding. Good for him.
Yeah, he's going to Machu Picchu, wasn't it?
Machu Picchu could take time off, get away from it, and hopefully can step back in and refreshed and ready to go for the second half of the season. Gut says they probably just get a striker. I'd like a full takeover, but it just depends on. It's hard to read the Radrizzani tea leaves. He's a gambler. I mean, he really likes to. That's what he is. I mean, he's a billionaire for a reason. He's investment person for a reason, and he's going to try to make as much money as he can.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But the work that I think Horta is doing right now, specifically Horta, is very important, because hopefully as soon as that window opens, we get somebody in. And the legwork he's putting in, that he's probably been putting in all summer for maybe a list that he didn't get, like a Nanto happens. So he can pull the trigger and get some players here.
He doesn't get enough credit, I think, for that one. I think we all kind of, when we saw Nanto coming in, Jesse was asking for an established striker, and we didn't get it. And we got Nanto, and I think I even said in one of my videos, technically we didn't sign a striker, because if he's not going to play and he's not going to be in the squad, then we haven't signed a striker. That's so, And Jesse was very clear that he wanted an experienced striker. He was very clear it wasn't Nanto when he was asked about it. I think Victor's done a great job with some of the younger players he's brought in over the last 2 years specifically. If you look at the under 23 team, he's been very shrewd there. Ignoring the last 2 weeks of the summer transfer window, he brought in some good players. Like, you can't say that the players that came in during the summer have not been good players, because Christensen was the one that started off the rockiest, and he's starting to show stuff. He's got 2 assists from fullback. He's starting to settle in. So you can't argue that the players that he did bring in, the gaps are a problem. They're 2 years worth of a problem. So
yeah, you know what? I haven't thought about Christensen at all watching games, like other than, oh, that was a good tackle or good to get back in time and whatever.
Yep.
He's one of the furthest things from a worry for me right now. But the first few games, I was like terrified every time the ball came down the left side or down his side, attacking left side. He's been fine. He's done some good things getting forward too. He's put in a few tasty crosses. And he's been able to do some things with the ball that we used to like Luke Ayling doing, which he's been able to carry it well, not to the same extent. I mean, Ayling was, especially in the championship, I think it was pretty.
Nobody breaks forward like Bill. God,
but yeah, he's really. I'm happy with that. I'm happy to keep that as it is for now. That's not where the problem is for me. Rumors about Bamford also, maybe.
Bamford, I look. Do we see Bamford coming back after the World Cup and scoring goals or being fit for the remainder of the season? I mean,
we haven't talked about him.
Is incredibly way higher than Bamford's is.
Can I see Bamford retiring early or going to play back in the championship?
I've been listening to this. I commented on the BBC podcast. Don't go to bed just yet. I commented on it during the week, and I've listened to every podcast this week. Squareball, all of them. And they're all saying the same thing, and it's driving me nuts. Everyone still has a problem with Rodrigo. We've got 9 goals in 13 games. Of those 13 games, 3 of them were played as a 10, which we know he doesn't score in. So as a striker, he has 9 goals in 10 appearances while playing in the number 9. He also dislocated his shoulder in the middle of that and was out for a period of time. Yeah, came back and hit the ground running. So as a striker, which he hasn't really played in 2 years, he's doing his job. He's scoring goals. The narrative this week is, but he doesn't do anything else. He doesn't press. And these are the same people that thought we should bring in somebody like Ben Burton Diaz, the criticism of him is he doesn't press.
Yeah.
You know, Bamford does run around, it's great, and you can press all you want. Rodrigo does press. He just doesn't press for 90 minutes. He presses for about 30, and then he gets tired.
And Ben Burton Diaz isn't a number 9 either. He's wide forward. Like his strength is running from running from wide and coming. Yeah.
So it's annoying me at the moment because Rodrigo can't do anything right. He can't. You know, he scored 9 goals in 13 games. He's doing his job. I think he's been excellent. But I have 2 Leeds jerseys, one from the first season we went up and one from this season with his name and number stuck on the back of it. So I'm clearly biased as to what I think about Rodrigo, but I think there's a striker in there. He's scoring goals right now and we need goals. He is not our problem. The pressing at the front from Rodrigo is not the issue because Aronson's pressing has been brilliant at times. They've hunted as a pack brilliantly. Our issues are at the back, and I just wish people. I mean, if Liam Cooper was a striker and doing what Rodrigo is doing now, they'd be building a statue to him somewhere. You know, he just.
I think we need depth there. I think we're all saying that we should get a striker, and that Bamford. I think everybody's written off. Yeah. It's a shame. And he's been stuck on 99 goals for so long, and it's sad at this point. And I will say, credit Jesse Marsh. You have to get a tune out of your highest rated signing. You know, your club record signing. You have to get a tune out of him, and he's gotten a tune out of him. So credit him for that.
Finally, you know, because it was really 2 really difficult seasons for Rodrigo. It wasn't working at all, and I would have been happy to see him move on last summer. But no, full credit to him. He's doing a job for us right now. Like I said, we wouldn't be anywhere near where we are right now without him. So even if you can point to it and say, well, he doesn't press well, he doesn't do other things well. That's true. Not everybody does everything well.
No.
But he's doing the one job that we need him to do well, which is scoring goals. So let's just cut him some slack on that at least.
Yeah.
There are 20 of you in the chat. Please do tickle the like, smash like, open up your phone if you're listening on your phone. However you want to do it. Caress.
This is
However
a new,
you get the like to get on.
this is
do
a new
that.
YouTube movement. You know that we're going to
Yeah.
change the influencer model. It's going to be
Yeah.
tickle the like button and not
Tickle the
smashing
like.
anymore. Taking over.
Do what you can. It helps kick this video on, channel on. Control the
We're like
algorithm.
this close to being
Fight
pervy.
that we're this little channel, and you can make us sky if you just hit that like. No, we were doing a PowerPoint with screenshots. That's the level. That's what we got. That's the technology here. Listen, final question, final topic of the night. We'll close on this. Is Bielsa to Bournemouth? Look, I've been whistling past.
That's not my only concern.
I've been whistling past the graveyard on it. I've been hoping that this is a rumor. I don't want to. I just am like, come on. I don't want anywhere in the world. Really, I mean, he could go to a top 6 side. I'd be okay with it. I mean, Scum would suck, obviously, too, but
he wouldn't. Would
but
he?
the fact that it's a team that's going to be in and around us, I feel like, is hard to swallow. I think if you follow Gier Lynch, Twitter and Instagram, as well as Leeds United The View, he made a really interesting point about he's kind of ghosted the club. We wanted to name, we wanted to do a statue, we wanted to honor you, and he hasn't said anything back. And the lack of movement there. Maybe he's a smart man, and he also realizes if they do that, then I can't accept another job in English football. But what's your thoughts on it? I'm just, until it's official from the club, I'm just hoping this is a rumor.
Well, I don't think he would ever do anything like that out of spite. I mean, I think it has not gone well with the board. I don't think that whole last season was handled well. I do think it was probably correct that we had to get rid of Marcelo Bielsa when we did. I don't want to relitigate that whole thing. I just think it was a shame that it got to that place that we got to that position in the first place, and that I certainly place far more responsibility on the board of directors for that than I do on him.
Well, we did kind of sell him down the river
a
little bit.
What's that?
Because I think we did kind of sell him down the river because
we did. Yeah.
The Leeds legend, he's a Scotsman, got on Sky. He was a coach of the team that went down.
Eddie Gray. Yeah.
Eddie Gray went and said, look, they wanted to give him players. He didn't want players. Now, I just don't think you air that dirty laundry. And it's always hard to imagine a coach not wanting players. I mean, he wanted probably you just didn't want his players. I don't know. But
let's have a look at what's happened since then.
What
have we done in the transfer market since then?
Yeah,
we've done a 1 in, 1 out, or whatever, like a net spend of 0 policy since then. So the board is trying to sell us this idea that they were trying to give him all kinds of players that would make a big difference. When a few months later, they basically have no money whatsoever. Yeah. Really, what were the quality of the players that they were offering here? Were they realistic? It doesn't seem to me that that's true. I think that's the board spinning it to their own favor, as they would. Fine, that's fine. But no, I think it was definitely sold down the river. It's a good way of putting it. And you know what? I don't think he would do anything just to spite them. But we don't. He doesn't owe us anything. And if he ends up going to another team, good luck to him. I just hope it doesn't mean we get relegated. And when I was sort of joking around about bringing this up earlier, it wasn't actually just about Bielsa. A lot of teams around us that we're competing with, that hopefully trying to avoid relegation, are improving themselves in other ways that it just doesn't seem like we're likely to. And I'm not suggesting that we need to get rid of Jesse Marsh and get another manager, but you do see other teams improving, right? We have Lopetegui going into Wolves. They haven't been scoring goals for a really long time. That's a pretty heavy job for him to do, but it's a quality manager. It's clear that they're making improvements. Will they have money to sign
back
people
in January as well?
He's not damn right they'll be signing
players in January,
right? Aston Villa, same thing, right?
They're
bringing Amory, like you're damn right they're going to be making more signings. So the question is, and then Bournemouth, like they're going to be getting a new manager. Is it Bielsa? We know what he can do. We know what he can do with the team given enough time. We just happen to be on a World Cup break right now.
We
He may
can't
have some
stand
time.
still. We can't stand still.
Right.
Right.
And so are we going to make the moves that we have to make? I mean, that's the bigger question for me. Are we going to make the moves that we have to make to be able to keep up? Because if you're standing still, you're going backwards. We've already learned that lesson. At least the fans have learned that lesson. I don't know if the board has. But that's where we're at right now. And it's tough to watch.
I have a couple of different. Yeah, he was open to new signings. And the point that Michael and Megan were saying as well is he didn't want the signings that they were offering to him. He wanted other signings, and they obviously couldn't give him the players that he wanted. I mean, if you go back to last season, the player that was being rumored that Leeds were trying to bring in to help the midfield issue was Brendan Aronson. If you look at Brendan Aronson this season, you show me where he fixes our defensive midfield issues last year, because he is not that player. That is not where he plays. So that would have been a signing for the sake of signing. I can understand why Bielsa would turn around and go, I don't need more goals. I need less conceded. You know, we're still in that same place. Conceded 20 goals this time last season, with 22 this year. So there really isn't much of a difference. We're 2 goals worse off this year than we were last year. We've scored more goals this year than last year. So it's pretty much the exact same situation if you look at it from a board's perspective, and we still haven't fixed the gaps that we have. Has respected Leeds Football Club. I think he has respected the supporters, Paul, if I'm being honest. What I was going to say on this was, and I said it in my stream during the week, we don't know how the final conversations with Bielsa went. We don't know what happened behind closed doors. We know that he was incredibly upset at having to leave. Maybe he asked for certain things, they didn't give it to him, and then they scapegoated him. And I believe that's what happened. I didn't want to see him go.
Yeah, we know that he was sat in his car, bawling his eyes out outside of.
You don't do that if you know it's coming. You don't do that if you know, look, results aren't going my way, I'm on my way out. And most managers will look at it. And Bielsa has had a short career at most clubs that he's been at. And he's only done a year or two. The other side to it as well is, I mean, if he, from what Phil Hayes said during the week, is if he got an offer in England, he'd absolutely take it. That the sentiment from him was, yeah, like, why wouldn't I? And he only wouldn't take the job in Argentina because Newell's Old Boys named the stadium after him, and he himself built their training ground with money that he gave them. So he's heavily invested in Newell's, and he won a top
name the stadium. Quick, name our stadium after.
Name everything after him. Bielsa way called it great, whatever you can do.
Yeah.
But no, the point I'm making with this is that he won a major title there. He didn't win a major title at Leeds. He won the championship, right? So he didn't win the top title. And I mean, remember when Sky said to him, Sky made that mistake in the first interview with him saying, you've won many trophies around the world. And Bielsa interrupted him immediately and said, I think you've got the wrong person, because he hasn't. He's only won 1 trophy in his career. So Bielsa wouldn't look at the championship promotion the way we would look at it. He would look at it from a tactical point of view of going, that's getting us to where I want to start. Now that's the get us there, and then we start the project. And he didn't get to finish that project because the board didn't back him properly in January. And I don't buy what they say about the players. If everything they said, because they did that interview publicly, and Bielsa will have seen that interview that they did with Phil Hay and Ornstein for The Athletic. He will have seen that interview.
Sure. The
club react to him with this thing about naming the training ground after him, which should be named after Howard Wilkinson. Just saying. If you're going to name it after him, fine. But he hasn't replied to you. So clearly there's some animosity there. Why is he ghosting the club? Why is he not replied to this request? Is it pride, or is it a case of, I'm not finished in England. I'm not finished as a coach. You're not naming anything after me because I'm not done. And now he has a chance to come back to England again with somebody like Bournemouth, or Everton have been linked with him possibly as well, because Lampard could be gone over the next 7 weeks. There's serious conversations about that.
Can you imagine?
Can you imagine the irony? Wouldn't it be hilarious though? Wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Frank sitting on the unemployment line. Well, I do coaching too. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
There you go. Look at the treaty Wilco. I have a big problem with the way. He got us promoted, and he won the top title. And he's never had a bin named after him. So like, the other side to this is if Bielsa does come and take over Bournemouth, we know exactly what system he's going to play, because he doesn't change his system. There is Plan A.
That's true.
If Plan A isn't working, do Plan A better. That has always been his mantra. So we know he'll go man for man marking, and we know it doesn't work in the Premier League. So even if he takes over Bournemouth and gets players in January, he needs to get a very high caliber player. I watched this seminar that he did in one of the stadiums that he was doing, and what he was saying was all the scenarios that he looked at where goals are conceded or where goals are being created from, world-class players in his systems can solve those scenarios. The issue he's had in the Premier League is He doesn't have world-class players. And Jesse is probably in the same boat with that, where his system in Austria worked really, really well because he had players at that league that were top players at that division. He doesn't have it in England. So is it a bad thing if Bale takes over Bournemouth? Will we go down? I don't think we get relegated. I think he'd probably struggle initially. He should be in place now if they want to get the maximum amount of they can get from him in the next 7 weeks. Because if he takes over trying to implement his style when everyone's back after the World Cup, it won't work.
Yeah.
What a game to watch, though.
Yeah.
Eddie Gray, sorry, there's an interesting one on Eddie Gray.
We talked about this.
Just a real quick one on Eddie Gray. Yeah. I love Eddie Gray. I've met the man twice. I think he's a very nice man. I've talked to him. He's lovely. He's a Leeds legend, and he loves the club. Loves the club. Loves the club also to the point where he will pretty much toe the line of what the club is saying. Yeah. When Cellino was in charge of Leeds, he made positive statements about Cellino. When Bates was in charge of the club, he made positive statements about Bates. And now he's made positive statements about Radrizzani as well in terms of, he believed that the club offered Bielsa players. Eddie has always gone with what the ownership of the club have done. When people that were involved with LUTV were fired over going against him.
He's getting a paycheck from them, right?
Of course he is.
He's employed by them.
Yeah, and Eddie wants to be around the club.
At one time, the coach, but he used to do. He's done commentary. I think he's still on the books in some.
He does the corporate events, like he does the corporate tour. I've done one of them with him. It's slightly different to the stadium tour where you kind of stick springs you around the stadium. The corporate tour starts off in the president's suite and you get champagne reception and you walk around different areas. It's slightly different. You get a speech from either Eddie Gray or Big Norman, who used to be, they called him Schwarzenegger at one point when he was playing for Leeds. So they kind of walk you around. And he's an employee of Leeds. He's not going to say anything else. And Eddie wants to still be around Leeds. He loves the club. He wants to be part of that. Yeah. Speaking up against the ownership, you're going to lose that position. They're not going to want you in the ground anymore. And Eddie doesn't want that. I mean, Dale was saying that he's a yes man. He is to a degree, but he's a yes man because he's not a young man either, and he loves this club. And he's probably willing to do whatever the club wants in order to stay part of the club because it's his club. And I would have no problem with that at all.
Yeah, I just want to mention this as well, Glenn, and I appreciate your comment there, but I do have to say as well, like, this is not a matter of us not moving on. I think no one here is pining for Marcelo Bielsa. It's relevant, one, because it looks like he may be appointed to another team, and we have to be aware of that because obviously we're going to have to come up against it. That does have an impact on us for sure. And two, it's relevant again just because, we continue to see the same mistakes from our board of directors. And that's an ongoing thing. That's not just a Bielsa thing. That's a thing that's been happening for a while. So I think it is relevant for us to do this. It's not a matter of us needing to move on from Bielsa. I think we've all moved on. Yeah. No one's saying, we got to bring him back or anything. It is relevant and topical at this point in time.
In previous live streams that we've done, we've actually said the opposite. We said we can't go back. We have to go forward. So we're just identifying a rumor that's kind of going around the houses, but it's not a case that we're saying bring Bielsa back. We are primarily positioned to know exactly what we're going to face when he does come or if he does. I think he does come. I think it's going to happen.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah. I got a jet and then the stream. Maybe we'll do another stream during the World Cup.
Sure.
Yeah, why not?
Michael will be rooting for the Canucks, the Canadians.
First time since.
What group are you guys in? What group are you guys in?
Oh God, we've got who do we have? We have Belgium, I think.
You're confident, aren't you?
Oh God, yeah. It's what's our group? So we got Belgium, Croatia, and Morocco. I think it is. So Belgium, that's going to be tough. Croatia, I mean, they're good but aging. So who knows? I mean, Canada's pretty young and energetic, fast with some of our players. Jonathan David and Alphonso Davies and stuff are just absolute lightning. So. Tejan Buchanan as well. Yeah, it's what I'm looking forward to seeing how Canada does. If it wasn't for that, I really wouldn't care that much about this World Cup at all, given all the politics around it and stuff. But it's hard. It's such a conflicting. It's complicated. It's complicated. Really not pleased about some of the stuff we're already seeing happening in Qatar. With journalists being harassed on the streets and having the threats of their cameras being smashed and whatnot.
So they've apologized apparently for that, but that's got to keep happening, isn't it?
It's going to keep happening, and it's just the way things have been forever, right? So it's hard to change from that mode, I imagine.
I think that's a winnable group for Canada, if I'm being honest. I think if you're looking at it, you've got like Morocco are very beatable. You've got Croatia and Belgium. I don't think there's a massive difference. If Belgium are on form, I think they could go really far in the competition. I have them as a dark horse. They have a good team, but I think Croatia are beatable. I think you could be looking at a second place.
I think Croatia, Morocco are definitely beatable. Belgium probably not, but yeah, it's possible. I'm not fearing it. Put it that way. But you never know, because again, Canada hasn't been in this position since I was like 4 years old or whatever, 5 years old. So
we'll do a
stream when you get to the big show, right?
For the World Cup. Yeah. Well, I like your players. I think you've got some talent there. You obviously took the top seed in the qualifying. Yeah. I am not as confident as in the United States, just because I don't believe we have a good center back pairing, and the coach. Like the manager likes to play out of the back. That's his game plan. A, will he evolve and play long and play second balls is my question. And, so I think the first matchup with Wales is a toss-up. That's the first game. If you lose it, then you're probably not going to get out of the group. If you win it, then you probably are. If it's a draw, then you got a shot. You got a puncher's shot. So it's all about that first game. And even though it is they're calling it the sports washing cup.
Yeah,
there's a little bit of that.
Yeah,
There's actually a documentary on Netflix I saw, FIFA Corrupt or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I suggest. I haven't watched it. Yeah, it is.
Good watch.
It's funny because it's a former President Bill Clinton kind of going, "Why am I here?"
Yeah.
We're not being. I just saw the trailer for it. But
first episode of that, you will see the birth of commercial football.
Yeah,
it's incredible to see how quickly it's come to where we are now from what it was in the 70s. But it's incredible. It's a really good watch. I highly recommend it.
Dow was just asking in the comments. The Canadian midfielder that plays for Porto is excellent. Can't remember his name. It's Stephen Eustachio. And yes, he is. And yes, I would like to see him at Leeds.
Yeah,
he's very good.
Yeah, they've got some great players.
Joe Scully was linked with Leeds this week from Gladbach, the American fullback.
I'll take.
He's a right back though. He can play left back.
He plays left as well, but he's a right back naturally.
Yeah,
I'd take Sargent. I would take John. I know he was a punching line at Norwich, but he's in fire at the championship, and I think he would be. I think he. I don't know. People, maybe I don't know. I don't know what happened with Norwich last year. He was one of the worst. People have said he's one of the worst players. He's made the American team. And he's on fire. He's on fire down there. I think he's up there with leading the championship with goals. So as depth behind Rodrigo, he might have value, or it's kind of like somebody said, that workhorse donkey.
Yeah.
Maybe alongside Rodrigo, he has value. So anyways,
taking a Norwich player, but nicking Pookie off him. He's got goals.
He does have goals. He does have a nose for goals. Obviously equalized against us last year.
Always scores against us.
I got a
who wins, Alex? Who have you got to win it, and who's your outside?
I'm going to go with I think Brazil.
Okay.
I think Brazil. I don't know, maybe Portugal. No, I'm going to root for probably the South American teams once the United States does get bounced. I think I'm going to say Argentina. I'd like to see Messi get it, but we'll see.
So it's
all right, fellas.
Argentina.
Peace.
Cool.
There you go.
See you guys.
Have a good night.
Bye.